everyone, it's Amanda from Loops and Love Crochet here, and today I'm working on this new tapestry or intarsia crochet project here. And I thought I'd give you a little peek at how it's working up and show you how the color changes are worked. So to start with, I created this graph here, and this graph is what I'm using to crochet this project. So all of the white boxes in the graph are shown in this background color here, and then all of the purple blocks here are my letters here. So I have kind of a main color and an accent color going here, and I'm just switching back and forth between the two. And each row I'm working in back and forth rows of single crochet. So at the end of each row I'm doing a chain one and a turn, and then continuing on the back side of the project. And to keep the front side of the project here nice and clear, I'm making all of my color changes and dropping my yarn to the back side. So I'll show you what that looks like. So here's the reverse side. So here's where I did all the color changes for the letters that you could see on the front, and I always just dropped my yarn to the back of the project and carried it across to where I needed it. And I didn't really need to go all that far between each of the letters, so they're just kind of short carries here and there. Back and forth the whole way up. So when I'm working a row with this side of the project facing me, I'm dropping my yarn towards the back for the color changes. And then when I'm working on a row with the back side facing me, I'm dropping my yarn towards me when I'm making the color changes. So that's kind of a little explanation on how the color changes are worked in an intarsia crochet project here. And you can also choose to carry the yarn underneath your stitches so the project looks the same on both sides. But sometimes when you're using a light color and a dark color, as I am here, you can see the black yarn showing between the stitches, and it doesn't look quite as clean. So I figured for this project, the back side didn't really matter because it's not going to be seen anyways, that I would just pick up and drop the yarn. But if you want a project that is reversible on both sides, then I'd recommend that you carry the yarn along with you underneath your stitches. So I'm going to show you how to work a couple rows here on this project here. So I finished the word confetti, so now I'm working on the word like here, and I've just kind of started the bottom of the stitches here. So I've gone this way, I've started my bottom of each of the letters, and now I'm working my way back, and I'll be making the color changes according to the graph along the row going this way. So we alternate which direction we're traveling each row. So right now I'm working with the back side of the project facing me, and I'm going to work all the way up to where those letters are starting here. Okay, so now I'm just over to where my color changes are here. So I'll show you how that works. So you're gonna work the last single crochet up in the first color all the way up until the last yarn over. So I've just pulled up my first color, and then I'm gonna drop that yarn towards me and pick up my accent color for the letters here, and I'm gonna complete my single crochet with that accent color there. And then I'm going to be using this color for the 6 stitches, matching up with these 6 here. And I'm dropping my yarn towards me so that on the front side of the project, we keep it nice and clean without any yarn carries or yarn ends showing. So there we go, I did my 6 stitches in the black color. And then I'm going to drop this one and then switch back to the main color, to the background color. So I have my first part of my single crochet on my hook here, and then I'm going to yarn over with the new color and pull it through. And then I have 2 stitches of the background color again, followed by another 2 in the dark color again. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to drop this again. So I've only half completed that last single crochet, and I'm switching back to the main color. 1, 2, drop the yarn, So we're just switching back and forth between these two different colors here. If you're new to this crochet technique, it's a good idea to start with a project where you're just using a couple of colors. And then as you get more confident or comfortable with this technique, you can start adding in more intricate designs and more color changes. Okay, so dropping that, picking up the next color. And there we go. So we just continue like that all the way across. So I'll show you the rest of this row, and then I'll show you how it works when you're working on a row where the right side of the project is facing you. Oops, there we go. So 1, 2, and then switching to the dark color for the last 6 stitches of this color change section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll switch back to this background color all the way until the end of the row. And we just leave this color hanging here because you're going to be using it again when we get to that spot on the next row. So now we just work all the way to the end in single crochet stitches using this background color here. So I will complete the rest of this row and the start of the next one, and then I'll show you what that looks like for the next row. All right, so I've worked my way partially across here back on the right side of the project facing us again. And I've just worked a little bit over it so I can get closer to those color changes there. So looking back at the graph here, we're working on the word like, and this is the third row of it. And I've traveled this way, and now I'm going back from the right to the left. And I'm right about here. So I'm gonna make a few more stitches in the background color, and then I'll start switching back and forth again between the two colors as I work my way across here. Okay, so there's just a few more stitches of this background color. There we go. So I'm going to work this last single crochet all the way up until the last yarn over, and then I'm going to be dropping the yarn behind this time. Picking up the black, pulling through that color change for the last part of the single crochet, and then I'm going to work 2 stitches in this color. 1, 2, and then I'm going to drop that color, pick up the next one, and then 2 stitches again. 1, 2, pick up the next color. So we'll just continue alternating like this the way across. Oh, I have one more stitch of this color to make here. Forming the bottom of the K. So 1, 2, and it's just important to keep your tension very similar for the whole project here. Sometimes it's easy to work the rows with the color changes. Sometimes you pull the yarn a little bit tighter, and that can start to pull your project in for those rows. So we want to make sure we keep our tension the same in the color change rows as it is in the regular rows here, so our project doesn't get wavy along the outside. So I'm just doing 1 single crochet in the white color here. And then switching. So it just looks like this the whole way across. I've shown you what it looks like making color changes on the right side and on the wrong side. And we're just going to continue working that the full way up from the bottom to the top of the graph. And sometimes your yarn gets a little bit twisted as you go, so you just need to stop every so often and untangle if your yarns start to get twisted together. There we go, just the last 2 stitches in the dark color here. And then we finished that color change section, and then it's just the main color all the way through until the end of the row. And there we go. So I'll just do the first few stitches here. There we go. So we can see the bottom of the word like, the L-I-K-E, starting to form here. And I'll be continuing working up this graph here all the way up until I get to the top, and then I will show you what that looks like. All right, so here is the project worked all the way up. I followed the rest of the graph all the way up to the top here. And so we have our throw kindness like confetti crochet piece all finished, just curling a little bit at the corner here. So next I'm going to be crocheting this onto a wooden dowel to make it into a wall hanging. However, you could also make this into a pillow by just crocheting another piece in all single crochet that's the same size and in a solid color or the speckle yarn, and crocheting the 2 panels together with a pillow form or stuffing inside. I'm going to make this one into a wall hanging. So I will be crocheting around this dowel to add it to the top of the project here. So I'll show you how that works there. And then after that, I'll add a chain that'll go across the top for hanging this on the wall, and then it'll be all finished. So there we go. And I'll give you a little peek at the back here as well. So I just fastened off, you can see where all of the yarn was carried, and I just I did some end weaving in here, and some of the other ends I just tied together and then cut it. It just depends on how many ends there were and how long they were. So now it's nice and tidy on the back, so nothing will catch on anything. And this will be the part that faces the wall, so it won't be noticeable at all. Or if you make yours into a pillow, it'll be on the inside of the pillow, so that's okay if the back is a little bit messy looking, because the front is the important part there. So I'll show you how to crochet this dowel on, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm now ready to crochet around the dowel here to add it to the top of the project. And I've just placed it right at the top of the stitches here. Now the last row that I worked on this design here was on the reverse side here. So now I did a chain 1 and turn, and I'm ready to work with the right side or the front side of this project facing forwards, facing me. So that means that the front of my stitches will be visible on front of the dowel here. So it'll just be regular single crochet stitches. The only difference is that you are going to be working around the dowel, which just makes them a little bit more awkward to make at first, but you're working your stitches the same way as you normally would. So to start with, I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch, and then I'm going to go underneath, put my hook underneath the dowel, and then I'm going to yarn over under the dowel or behind the dowel and pull up my loop to the front, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops on my hook. So we're just making regular single crochet stitches. So for the next one, I'm going to insert into the next stitch as normal, yarn over behind the dowel, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on my hook. So I'll do a few more of those, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And there we go. So there are my first few single crochet stitches around the dowel. So they just look like regular single crochet stitches, just a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, because they're passing around the wooden dowel here. And the top of my stitches are just at the top of the dowel. And then on the reverse side, you can just see the back of my stitches. So we're going to continue going around the whole top of the project. and then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. Okay, so the top part of this project is done here, where I've crocheted all the way across the whole dowel, and you can see the stitches look all nice and even at the top here. Sometimes as you're crocheting them, sometimes the top of the stitch, they might not be quite as straight. It might look like some of them are down a little bit more and up. It might look more like that once you're done, but if you just kind of smooth it out after with your fingers, then it'll make it nice and even there. And then now we're going to make the chain to hang this project on the wall. So I'm just going to make a long chain on this end here. So I'm not going to turn or anything. I'm just going to make a chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch it back to the first stitch on this end here. So to start off with the chain, and remember, you can check the written pattern on the blog for all of the written instructions, including all of the information like the stitch counts and all of that. So I'm just gonna make a long chain, and then we'll slip stitch it in at the other side there. Okay, I have my nice long chain finished here, and you can change the length of your chain depending on how far you'd like this to be below the chain here. And now I'm going to just make a slip stitch to join it to the other end here. So the first single crochet worked over the dowel here. I'm just going to work a slip stitch into that stitch there. So I'm just going to insert my hook into that top of that single crochet and make my slip stitch. So pull the yarn through and pull it nice and tight. And then I'll fasten off that end and weave it in a little bit later. And this is going to be where our wall hanging hangs on the wall here. So this is where the hook or screw or nail will go into the wall, and then it'll hang on the chain, and then the dowel will keep it nice and level. So that concludes our video tutorial on the Throw Kindness Like Confetti wall hanging here. And I hope that you enjoyed this crochet pattern. I hope you found the video tutorial helpful. I'd love it if you subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow Loops and Love Crochet on Facebook and on Instagram. Thanks for watching.